Right, nice. I want to play you guys a video, though. And this is Man United fans talking about Jurgen Klopp and his success and how they view it. I want to get your opinions on this. Viewers, take a little listen as well.
A new manager in the summer, or even if Terrace stays on, and he used to do at United what Klopp has done. So for the next 9 years, from next season onwards, we won one title, one Champions League, an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup.
Well, everything, because he's won everything.
Yeah, but spaced over the 9 years. Over the next 9 years, that's what we won, those 4 trophies.
I'll take that.
Would you?
Did you not fight the last 10 years? Of course, I'll take that.
I want more, mate. I do.
I love that. I absolutely love that. You wouldn't take that.
I'd take that.
So Jay there is saying that if he was promised now, it would be the maximum Man United would get in the next decade. 1 Champions League, 1 Premier League, 1 FA Cup, 1 League Cup. Even though we've been this bad for the last 10 years, he wouldn't accept that over the next 10 years. He still thinks that's too low a trophy haul for Man United, essentially saying that Klopp's done well, but he has underachieved. Like, what's your view on that, Igal?
He's trying to belittle Klopp by saying that. And in actual reality, if you got him and you told him, yo, your team could win another trophy or be one step closer, and you worded it a different way, maybe he would accept that. It's just, this whole thing is to just belittle Klopp. And I think a lot of people need to stop doing that, because Klopp is one of the 5 best managers in the Premier League's history, in my opinion. Like, just from the Premier League time. And when it comes to what this Manchester United fan's saying, you really are going to sit there and tell me a team that hasn't won a trophy since 2013. Like, if you told me that, I'm taking that Champions League. Forget about the league, just the Champions League alone, because we haven't won that. I'll take that in a heartbeat. I think he's just being salty at this point. And of course, Manchester United fans are going to be salty. But right now, in the state that Manchester United are in, to turn down, 5 trophies, Terry? That's ridiculous.
4.
4? He didn't count the Club World Cup or Super Cup either?
You don't know, so you can't. You say they're friendlies.
Yeah, true.
That's because you've never played him, bro. That's why.
This is true.
I was taking the piss out of Chelsea.
What's your take on that, Elby? I know we sort of touched on that a little bit yesterday on the Top 6 show, but you get where Jay's coming from there around. My view is, I think he views it as, if Man United in the next 10 years won that, we would still be called underachievers, so he wants more.
Yeah. So to me, Klopp, this conversation for me is pretty simple, right? Is Klopp one of the best managers we've seen in the Premier League? Yes. Are Liverpool one of the best teams we've seen in the Premier League? Yes. Did they all underachieve with the players that they have? Probably yes, because they did only win 1 Premier, 1 Champions League, and then the domestic cups. Where I think he's probably been a little bit unfair is that it wasn't just they won 1 Prem and they won 1 Champs and that was it. They were involved, including this year, 4 title races. And I know people will go, oh, involved, like, great, it's there to win. I get it, but like, they were close. They lost the league by what, a point? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't like they had one freak season and then just like finished like mid-table. Like they were involved. They got to 3 Champions League finals. So if you rephrase the question to him and say, okay, in the next 8 years at Manchester United, I'm not going to tell you what you're going to win, but you're going to get to 3 Champions League finals and be involved in 4 Premier League title races, like proper races. I'm not talking like third. I'm talking like proper title races. Would you take that and not tell him the outcome? Then I would imagine he'd probably say, yeah. You rephrase the question a little bit, you're going to get a different answer. But the answer to the question is, yeah, Klopp probably looks back at his time and go, how did bloody hell did I win only 1 Premier, 1 Champions League? Well, one of the reasons is you faced Real Madrid twice in the Champions League finals. One of them, your keeper decided that he wasn't going to be a goalkeeper. Yeah, so that was a little bit unfortunate. Gareth Bale done an absolute madness. And then you've come up against the best team the Premier League's ever seen and one of the best teams that the world has ever seen in Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I get you.
Second best in your opinion.
Second best.
Yeah, that's my opinion. If you rephrase the question to him and say, would you take 4 title races in the next 8 years and 3 Champions League finals? I'm pretty sure I know what answer you'll give then.
Yeah.
Elby, would you take it yourself for City for the next 10 years?
Probably, yeah, because I don't think we'll have Pep Guardiola for the next 10 years.
I was about to say, yeah, without Pep, I think this is the thing. I get where Jay's coming from. With what we spend, with our wage bill, 4 trophies in the next 10 years. Yes, another Champions League. Yes, another Premier League. There is an argument. If you have faith in the new direction the club's going in, there is an argument to say, don't take that bet and let's roll the dice and see whether we get more. So if you're guaranteed those 4 in the next 10 years, but if you don't do that, you might win 3 league titles, 2 Champions Leagues, more trophies. I get taking the gamble. At the same time, with the competitiveness of the league, what is the likelihood with, and maybe things will change, but is there another manager in the world right now? We know it won't be Pep because he's gone. We know it won't be Klopp. Sorry, Pep won't manage another English club, nor will Klopp. Is there another manager that could genuinely take over Man United and make us dominate like Fergie did, like Paisley did, like Pep Guardiola has done? Maybe not. Maybe we're going to go through another decade like we had almost in the previous one up until Pep, where it's a different team winning the league every year. So maybe over a 10-year period, you know, United might get one, Liverpool might get one, City might get two, Arsenal might get one, Chelsea might get one or two. It might be spread like that. So, yeah, listen, I would probably take it. I'd probably take it based on where we are right now, the current lie of the land and everything else. But I also understand where Jay's coming from, that he wants, I do want more than that, by the way. In fact, you know, in the next 10 years, I want 10 league titles and 10 Champions Leagues. It's not going to happen, but it's what I want. So, but I do agree. I think the whole thing, I get belittling Klopp. I get bantering Klopp. I understand people doing it. I probably should more as a Man United fan. I just find it difficult to join in with that kind of banter. I think it's so milked and overdone online now that I find it really difficult. I just find it a bit magoo in a way. Like I don't like removing the context, but yeah, listen.
You don't even need to banter it though, Terry, because we all know that they only won one Champions League and one Prem. It's not like it's this like thing that no one really knows. Like that is disappointing based off of the team that he had, but at the same time, like you say, you've got to apply the context. So you just said then you
like with Fergie. So it's like with Fergie. I agree. Fergie won two, lost two finals. They got the 4 finals. People always discount the fact, though, that in his early days at Man United, and also this impacted a lot of really good teams in the late in the early days. There was European bans on English clubs, so they couldn't play to begin with. Then you had all the rules about how many of your foreign players could play in your team, as an example. So we had some games where we couldn't play our best players. All these things very much hindered Man United. Also, the early stages that Fergie went through, if you were coming second in your league, which you did, you weren't in the Champions League, where teams now can come fourth, improve over a summer, and then win the Champions League the next year. So the context must be applied. You know, there were certain managers from the 60s, 70s, and the 80s where you had to win your league to get into the Champions League. And then it was harder to win your league the following year because you were playing in these two competitions. With a squad back then, it was like 13, 14 people in it. And you had to handle injuries in 2 games a week. But yet we removed that context ago. But this manager now in 2025 has done this. Well, 2024, 25. And I think context is really key. So what I don't want to be when it comes to the banter with Klopp is a hypocrite by removing all context for him, but then applying it to my own club. Because I always find when it comes to football debates and arguments, I will never crap on a rival in a way that will shit on myself. So Liverpool fans did it a few years back when Pogba and Souness got into it. And Souness says, put your medals on the table to Pogba. And every Liverpool fan and his dog said, yeah, put your medals on the table. And then they all realized, I saw their faces as they said it, go, oh no, we've just absolutely gone and lost the Gerrard Scholes debate. In that instance, they lost it because instead of standing by their own standards and how they assess football, just for a cheap shot in the short term, they dropped it all. And I don't know, I just don't like to do it myself, but that's just me. Maybe I'm bored. I could just be seen as boring, really, but I'll take that on the chin. This year says, but Terry, they are not restricted by FFP or VAR, so your argument is moot. It's a really good point. There was no VAR and there was no FFP. However, you can look at it in 2 directions. Club owners didn't have the money to be able to spend in the same way that the billionaires that came into the game could. Therefore, the clubs were not at risk of going out of business in the same way because they were not drumming up unmanageable levels of debts, mainly on wage bills, as an example. So, yes, it's a moot point, but the type of investment coming into football and the cuts of debts being run up wasn't happening. So it kind of balances itself out. The VAR thing, look, VAR could have hurt a few teams. But if VAR existed, Man United would have knocked Porto out the Champions League the year that Jose won it. And I believe we would have gone on to win the thing. And listen, where would Jose's career be if he hadn't have won that Champions League that year? If he didn't have his famous knee slide at Old Trafford? So, yes, I again, context works in absolutely both ways. Without VAR in the Champions League, Liverpool would have faced Manchester City, in my opinion.
The red card.
The year that Liverpool did, the year that Spurs did, because without VAR, Spurs would have been knocked out of that Champions League. So Pep could have 2 now at Man City, but he doesn't. You know, City could have 1 less. Like, Liverpool could have 1 less. I hear you, but it's horses for courses. It really is horses for courses. Fergie time. I got a little stat for you on Fergie time. 2 things on Fergie time. First one, LB, during Fergie time, could you show me where the rule was written that only Man United could score?
I'm sure it was written somewhere.
Yeah. Second point I would make about Fergie time, they did the numbers when Fergie retired in the Premier League era. During Fergie's time in the league, 4 other clubs had more time added on per game than Man United did. So two like one big myth there that Fergie got more added time than anybody else.
What about goals in extra time?
I didn't show that stat. Well, that's not on us. That's just basically saying that it wasn't like Man United were given exponentially more added time than anybody else. And I always remember a Man United fan saying that to me when somebody was moaning about it. He went, but if we're drawing 1-1 and there's 5 minutes added on, the other team can go and win. And I'm like, and I'd never even thought about it from that point of view. Like, it always just felt when you played Man United and when there's time added on, we were going to be the only team that could win.
In 2024, Fergie would have got criticized for scoring goals in extra time and not winning it at 90 minutes.
Yeah, football's crazy. Fergie time, fact or fiction? We're going to go to this comment here. It is written somewhere. It fed us the most 90 from the start of Premier League to the end. The team with the most amount of 90th minute plus winners was Liverpool on 24, Arsenal on 19, Chelsea on 18, Everton on 17, Man United on 16. So we only won 16 games with last minute winners. We're only 5th on that level. And we were the 5th that's on the Premier League's website, and we were only 5th on the level for most amount of time added on.
What year was the Arsenal one?
Well, the Arsenal's that's just overall from 1992 until Fergie retired. But like I said, there's loads of. It's a bit like the myth of not spending. When you show like Spurs fans, we can't spend like you. Like when you show Spurs fans how much they spent in the Premier League history, it's like you're up there with everyone. You're right up there with us all. You just misspent it, you morons. You've got to respect Fergie. That geezer coined the Fergie time. He did.
It's the media. I don't think he ever actually said it.
No, Fergie didn't say it. Like that's it. Yeah,
it was the whole. It was the whole. This.
Yeah.
That was the whole.
It's like Ancelotti's eyebrow. Same thing.
But you know what Fergie did though? LB, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, you're in your 20s, right?
29. Yeah.
So you may remember it. You might remember it. It wasn't even the watch. Do you guys remember his stopwatch? So what he started doing in the 90s, legitimately, he'd sit there. And when they used to say there's like 3 minutes of time, what he was doing in the game is he would stop it for all the breaks. And if they only had like 3 minutes on, it'd be like, it's 5 minutes. He used to keep a stopwatch and you'd see him, but it was so clever. It was just a great way of gaining that advantage for Man United as and when he could. I don't even think he really did it properly. He just had it there for effect. He used to time it. He had a stopwatch. It was just brilliant.
I just remember him going like this a lot.
Yeah, he did. I remember his chewing gum as well. Yeah, love him. I miss Fergie, man. What a man. Yeah, what a man.
You see, this is what Liverpool fans are going to go through. They're going to go through a similar thing that you guys went through. They're going to lose a legend. This season's going to be like a celebration party, leaving party. And come next year, reality is going to hit. Everything I'm saying right now might sound harsh, but I think I'm being quite balanced.
You've got to make the right decisions, though, Igal. The problem with Man United is they made the wrong decisions. They appointed the wrong manager. They bought the wrong players. Yeah, and
what makes you guys think that the people at Liverpool have gotten all these things right? Because they had 2 really good people in Michael Edwards and Klopp. Outside of that, I don't know how many of the people that they had in the setup at Liverpool that are actually calling the cards.
Can I ask you a question, though, right? Name me all the people at City that call the shots.
I feel like City have like
name me all the people at Bayern Munich that call the shots.
Bayern Munich, they change over a lot.
Okay, but this is the point. You shouldn't know who they are unless you're at their club. These guys that do a good job, they're always unknown. No one knew who Omar Barada was the other day. No one really. Now we all do because Man United have got him. Yeah, we only know, by the way, who Ed Woodward and co were because they were shit.
No,
genuinely.
I'm
It's
looking
good
at
that you don't know
Liverpool's
them.
structure, Terry, and I'm not looking at the same as City's or Bayern's or Real Madrid's, or you know what I mean? I'm not looking at it in the same way of those structures, because I feel like I've seen those structures have multiple different managers come in and still be successful.
But
Where
this is where
Liverpool-
this is when we'll see whether Liverpool structure is successful or not. Moving on.